Kate and I are both mothers of young children, and we talked a lot about fashion and luxury as aspirational.
Yeah. There's like a little bit of a founder story to tell here, which is that the idea for sourcing leathers this way began, 2019. I started seriously looking for these types of hides and leathers in 2020. Range Revolution really launched in 2021. And that was also while I was pregnant with my first son, Heston. And I already had two businesses, my hat company and our farm business. And I just felt an incredible pull to start working on this once I started to learn more about the way in which ranchers like us, when we send one of our animals to slaughter to become meat on somebody's plate, only 65% of that carcass is getting utilized at most mid-size levels. In fact, every year, 5 million cattle hides are going into the trash every year in America. And as a rancher who's always trying to figure out how we make our industry more resilient, create better social, ecological, and economic outcomes for ranchers, that 35%, which is currently deemed waste in these systems, could actually be brought back in the way that we are with the leathers, which people value and use, and it will help lift that economic margin for the ranchers. So, my story with this project begins with my first pregnancy. I've since had two sons. So I think about how am I using this very precious time of my life to actually build something that might create better outcomes for not just my industry, which is, ranching, but also their future. What does the world look like for my sons? And I hope that it's one in which our generation has done the very hard work to rebuild systems that might create a more circular economy, a more regenerative economy.
I don't have the opportunity to be on a farm here like Kate, working the land every day, but by putting something on my body and developing this beautiful fashion piece that I will have forever also makes me feel more connected to the systems as a consumer, which I think is another really beautiful piece about Range Revolution that's just different from anything else out there. And I feel like there are so many of us out there, mothers, parents, that see what's happening with climate change and see the fall of some of these beautiful spaces that we love so much that we want our children and our grandchildren to have. But it's sometimes it's not tangible, like how if you're not a farmer or rancher or, in that space, how you can use your dollar, your voice, yourself for being a part of this good and this change. And I think these boots are a really cool way to feel a part of something bigger than yourself, which as a mother, we think about all the time.
Something I have learned in my journey of starting this company is I learned that 1 in 6 people globally is employed by the fashion and the textile industry. And this industry is the largest employer of women globally. And the more I learned about this industry, the more I started to truly understand what the conditions are like globally. And with its changes over the past 40, 50 years, it's become a very extractive industry in certain ways. I feel a sense of duty to other mothers, other women who are employed by this industry. I don't think it often works to point the finger at all that is wrong. I think it's actually more powerful to lead by example of what is possible. And that is what I feel about Range Revolution. It is a design project that was started to prove what is possible. We can source raw materials from regenerative farms and ranches in a way that it actually improves the lives of people who produce for us. And so if I were to go beyond the mission of beautiful, functional heritage designs, there's another layer of mission, which is to show what is possible when we dream it to be different.